So this is gonna be some like unscripted ranting and rambling about Clawroline from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because I already knew when I very first saw this character that there were gonna be some issues, but the issues that arise weren't necessarily for the same reasons as when we initially saw it. When everyone first saw Clawroline, they're like, oh no, it's this character that everyone's gonna be pissing their pants over, and when Kirby the Forgotten Land actually dropped, people seemed to turn their eyes more to Fecto Elphilis than they did Clawroline, so like, who really cares? And Fecto Elphilis is a perfectly fine character, and its design in no way takes from it, so that's all fine. But it's like, I feel like people were more simping over Clawroline, and when there was no context for Clawroline, it's like, oh look, freaking humanoid cat furry character with big thighs. But then when the game was actually out, like, no one freaking cares. Because, as we're gonna talk about in this video, Clawroline is not an interesting character. Clawroline is almost a bad character. By Kirby characters, there's rarely a character in Kirby that is actually bad, not including Takori from the anime, because everyone hates Takori. All my homies hate Takori, and if you don't hate Takori, you can get out of here. You don't even get the permission to be neutral to Takori. You have to hate Takori. Anyway, this is not the point of the video. Shut up. This is what happens when you do unscripted videos. But anyway, let's just actually talk about the game now. So, Clawroline first shows up in World 3, and this in itself actually is a hint towards Clawroline's importance, because World 3 is seemingly where Kirby games like to escalate. In Kirby and the Kirby Planet Robobot, World 3 is where Susie is first introduced. In World 3 of Star Allies is where you go to the Jam Bastion and meet all the Mage Sisters, and what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. But World 3 just seems to be the world where they're like, okay, it's time to start doing story things. But what happens with this one? Nothing. Nothing happens. The characters don't talk. Which I'm more thankful for, because it means that we don't have to give a specific personality to Clawroline. Because I feel like if she did have one, it would be like Rouge the Bat-esque, and I don't want that. Really, the Beast Pack seems more like looks more like it belongs to a Sonic game than a Kirby game, but this doesn't matter. Let's actually talk about her role in the game and why it sucks. So first of all, they just shouldn't have revealed Clawroline in the trailer at all, because 1, you already know what happened. 2, it completely defeats this scene of where Clawroline is, like, cloaked in random clothes. It's like, everyone already knows what it looks like, and everyone's already pissing their pants over what it looks like. So what was the point of concealing Clawroline for this cutscene? There just isn't one. Now, that was then, but now there actually is a little bit more importance to this outfit, because it appears somewhat similar to Nishal's outfit, or Nichal, I don't know how it's pronounced, who is the first canon-confirmed human in the Kirby universe, who was probably really important, even though all we really know is that they're the singer of New World. But they're probably important considering they named Popstar Popstar, assuming they're the ones that named Popstar. So that's kind of a big deal. But then again, it's not quite that outfit, it's more just a generic concealing outfit. But regardless, they didn't have to remove the outfit either way. They could have kept it. There is this big opportunity to have more interesting design. I mean, I don't know. My eye freaking hurts. The boss fight is pretty cool. How her retractable claws are actually like knives. Also, I just recently looked back at her design, and the knives are also have painted nails on them, even though they're knives and not actual claws. That's kind of funny. And the boss fight overall is good. And then there's her figure description, which basically says that the rest of the Beast Pack look up to her and idolize her, and she's like a star, which is literally the worst possible choice you could have picked for this character, because it's like, why? There's no context given. She's not a strong boss. Silly Dillo is way harder of a boss, but even though I didn't really act like it was when I played it on video for the first time. But yeah, he deals a lot of damage, and he's a way harder boss. Yet, he's treated like the incompetent buffoon of the group. So, I don't know. That's what I think. Anyway. Then, Clawroline's pretty much out of action for the rest. It's like, they didn't give context. Like, because I'm a Kirby fan and I know how this all works, there's always got to be one significant other to the main villain. Well, the main villain that isn't the actual main villain. Or the main villain. It depends on the game, really. Because Queen Sixtania had Taranza, Haltman had Susie, and Highness had Zan. And now Leongar has Clawroline. But because they don't talk, they don't give any context to this. Then we get to, like, the last two stages of the final world, where they have a little boss rush with the Beast Pack characters. And Clawroline is put at the end, for some reason. It's not like they made the fight harder. Actually, maybe they did. I can't actually remember. I think they did, like, they put them automatically in Phase 2, but Clawroline's isn't that hard. Anyway. So, yet again, you get the signifier of significance, but without actually giving a reason for her to be significant. Finally, we get to Leongar, and that's where things get really annoying. Because, first of all, yet again, no context. He doesn't mention anything about her, she doesn't appear in any way. You're just there, and then the game ends, and then all the stuff about them being related is dropped. But before that happens, we have the thing that makes me the most mad about Clawroline is how she was forced into a significant position without actually being significant at all. Because when Elfilin closes the portal and uses up all his power, which for some reason makes him die almost, and then later we get this stupid interaction between the two of them, where Elfilin talks about how Clawroline was there and nursed him back to health, and it's all thanks to her that we were able to, that everything turned out great, and how Clawroline saved the day, and blah blah blah. But it didn't need to be Clawroline, or anyone for that matter. Well, it needed to be someone, but why Clawroline? She doesn't have any special traits. She hasn't been mentioned for being nice or anything like that. She was mentioned for being nimble and ninja-like and swift and cunning and whatever else, not compassionate and caring and helpful or any of that. So, what's the deal? And Gorimondo really got robbed of importance because, first of all, we had that whole fiasco with how he's a giant red herring. And he was the first one shown off in multiple trailers and in the demo. And, like, he's the first boss, and usually the first one is either a recurring character or a significant one. But then there's just Gormondo, who's, like, the brawn of the group, but not even that, because he's really weak. He just looks like the brawn of the group. So he just gets robbed of any significance, despite seeming significant. And you're gonna need to take a shot every time I say significant in this video. Because they could have done, like... Well, we don't really know the details of what the heck happened with Elfilin at the other side. If Elfilin, like, fell out of the sky, or just wasted power, or just because he ran out of power, he's, like, weak. There's no context given, and because everything happens so fast, we basically won't, it's all confusing, because it's pretty much accepted by most of the fandom that in the Forgotten Land, time works different, and that actually is true to a scientific point of view, with how portals work, how wormholes work. But that's too science-y for me, so I don't know how true that is. But anyway, that's not the point. I do think that just that whole scene in general was a bit bland. One, because Paper Mario games do this in every single Paper Mario game, so it's kind of expected. Even though this isn't Mario, and this isn't the same people that make Mario, but it's Nintendo, which already gives it that connection, even though they're not in any way associated. But you could just see it coming, that the little dude who helped you, who is nothing but nice, is just gonna die because reasons. But then, literally like 5 seconds later, boom, he's back. Because time is weird. Oh my goodness, guys, that time is convoluted. It's freaking Dark Souls. Anyway. So yeah, Clawroline just gets forced into this heroic position for literally no reason. And then, Clawroline continues to be forced to be important. Because, now this one, it makes at least a little bit more sense. How Clawroline, because of their bond with Leongar, could sense him in this other dimension and find the portal to it. It's like that whole thing of like the people that love each other the most can find each other from miles away. They can just feel each other. So she yet again becomes significant because she literally gives us the ability to find Leongar in the first place. But then again, it's not like the portal was that hard to find. It's in a pretty obvious place, and you can see it before it opens. But anyway. Then there's Phantom Clawroline, who is supposedly so all the Phantoms would be Elphilis's perspective on these characters. So instead of Phantom Clawroline representing something significant, some other side to Clawroline, other than just being perfect in every way possible, everyone loves her, she's all nimble and also is a hero and saved everyone. Instead of reflecting anything bad, it reflects nothing about Clawroline. It literally just says, the Phantom Clawroline doesn't care about Leongar at all. But to be fair, there's no Phantom Leongar, so what Leongar would there be for her to care about? At least not a Phantom Leongar that we get to see. But I guess this means that from Elphilis's perspective, Clawroline never cared about Leongar, which doesn't make any sense, because that's the only reason Clawroline went with the Beast Pack in the first place. So instead of showing some other side to, like, the situation, because not everything is all good with them, because it's not. Leongar isn't even himself barely at all. So instead of anything interesting, they're just like, oh, well, this one doesn't actually relate to. This one is just a freaking looks like Clawroline, acts like. It's just a thing that Elphilis made in the image of Clawroline that doesn't actually have anything to do with Clawroline. Why? Just freaking more wasted opportunity. And finally, we get this trophy, and well, not finally, there's still more to go. We get the trophy, and that tells them all about the backstory. They were the rulers of the animal kingdom before it was, like, intelligent, I guess. They were cunning, yet again, not kind and compassionate and helping people or whatever nonsense. They were vicious, sort of. Well, we don't really know. We don't really know barely anything, but anyway. Then, Leongar found Fecto Forgo and started spewing a bunch of nonsense. Now, I've already gone over how I don't think that Fecto Forgo controlled Leongar. I think that they just infected his mind and gave him knowledge, like, he peered into its mind and got the knowledge of all of this ancient speaking nonsense. But anyway, he decides to make the Beast Pack for who knows why. Because, like, weren't they already in some sort of alliance? But anyway, we can definitely think that Fecto Forgo might have given him some ideas, and then he rolled with them. But regardless, Clawroline just goes with it. Oh yeah, and did I forget to mention that originally their names were Carol and Leon? Just Leon, not Leongar. There's really no difference. But this doesn't freaking make any sense. They go from wild animals that have more human names, or mostly wild animals. I mean, they're still probably more intelligent. They have an alliance, but they go from wild animals, basically, with more human names, and then they go to a more civilized, well, I don't know, not necessarily, but they go with a more formed group, but then they get more wild names. It's like, just for an aesthetic, I don't freaking know. Clawroline is dumb. That's the moral of the story. But we're not done yet, because then we've got the final part of everything, where after Leongar looks like he's gonna die, he's not gonna wake up, and then freaking Clawroline shows up out of nowhere with a soul piece. But then, look, everyone is here, because yet again, Clawroline, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be Clawroline for this to all make sense. Everyone's here, and just because she's just shown in the front as if she was the important part when she's not. And even after all the game's over, the only character that actually chills in your hometown is Clawroline, because freaking why? There's just no reason for any of it. Her character doesn't get fleshed out, and because they don't talk, and oh yeah, did I forget to mention, Leongar also loses the ability to talk after this point, because he doesn't have Fecto Forgo anymore. But those were his thoughts, those were not Fecto Forgo's thoughts. But anyway, how did this go on for 20 minutes? I don't know, because I keep stuttering and losing train of thought. But that just goes to show that how little there is to talk about with Clawroline, and how she's not interesting at all. And her character design just makes it all worse, because that's the only thing they decided to make with her, is give her big thighs and make her all pretty and whatever else, while not giving her any character whatsoever. Out of all the not relatives, the significant others to the main villains, Clawroline easily goes to the very bottom of the list. The others were all great. Susie was great. Taranza was amazing. San was great. I guess you could count the other sisters as well, but they're all great. And then there's Clawroline. There's nothing here. Now, the worst of all is the lack of confirmation of what their relationship even is. Well, considering Leongar's a lion and she's a leopard of some sort, we can assume that they're not blood related, but we don't know. But then again, this is not real biology, so who even knows? They did all kinds of crazy experiments and whatnot. So, who freaking knows? But due to no confirmation of what their relationship is, they might just be friends. They could be like an adopted daughter and father, or maybe they are blood related and it's just really weird. Or what most people default to, boyfriend, girlfriend. Some people even say, what the frick, get this stupid ad out of my face. Some people even say that they're married with no proof. So then there's this whole problem because Kirby Hal likes to reveal plot details in little posts after the game is finished. So after everyone's done shipping all the characters and then they get revealed to actually be blood related, and then it's just freaking, we're living in Alabama suddenly. It's dumb. Everything about Clawroline is stupid and bad, but it didn't have to be this way. I was ready to forgive Clawroline's terrible design and have a redemption arc, but it never happened. Clawroline ended up being nothing but a weak plot device to force importance of a glorified furry OC in a world of great characters. Like, Leongar is a spectacular character. Silly Dillo is the Chad because he's just the funny guy. Goramondo is decent. Yeah, let's not lie, Goramondo's not interesting either. But he was robbed of his importance, I feel. And then there's just Clawroline, who is not important, but is forced important. And this all could have been fixed if there was more interaction between the two than just hugging each other's leg and finding each other through a wormhole magically, because, yeah. And if there was some context to their relationship, so there aren't stupid shippers, or so there are stupid shippers, but it's okay. But it's not, because there is none. So, yeah, I don't know how this ended up going for 24 minutes, but Clawroline sucks. And that's all there is to it.